Hello, beautiful listeners and viewers. Welcome to another episode of the PsyK Talks. And I am your host, Kirti Garg, a practicing psychologist and also the founder of the PsyK Life. I'm excited to be doing today's episode because we will be diving into something very, very important. We would be talking a lot about mental health wellness, especially in the corporate sector at the workplace, and also diving a little bit around industrial and organizational psychology. And for that, we have a beautiful guest with us today, Miss Sakshi. She is a performance coach and she holds more than decade year of experience when it comes to working in the corporates, and she's also an organizational psychologist. So I'm very happy to have Miss Sakshi with us today.
Same here, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So while I was just going through your profile and we realized that there is a vast experience you hold. How about we start with the reality of what that experience is filled with in terms of struggles, in terms of challenges?
Okay. Let's start with corporate journey. So I would say I'll have to go really back in my memory. Okay, so if I close my eyes, just understand, try to remember things.
Okay.
I guess the struggle, the first thing that comes to my mind when you said struggle as such was the field itself when I passed out. So I'm talking about 2010. That's when I finished my masters from University of Delhi. Moved out, the first job, and the world was very different from what the education system had given us. So I think my struggle started off from there to understand ये क्या change हो गया है and
मुझे क्या सिखाया और कहाँ पे I landed up.
And I clearly remember, see again, I'm very visual, so I close my eyes and see. My first job, the actual job after internship, so I did my internship with Siemens Limited, and then I got my first job in Alcatel-Lucent, which I guess is no more Alcatel as such. So, and I was asked to use Excel and something, and it could be just me. But as such, I did not really learn it in my degree. Maybe I missed out on the portion of doing extra courses on that. But a lot of struggle started off from knowing the difference between the theory and the actual world where you get into. And post that, I think that, and also, I still remember. So this actually brings me another memory of starting the struggle, which was also in my internship, and someone told me, psychology company में क्या करनी? आपको तो काउंसलर्स होते हैं, थेरेपिस्ट होते हैं, आपको वो करना चाहिए.
ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन सेटअप में क्या कर रहा है साइकोलॉजिस्ट?
क्या है? और also I remember because I consider myself a very sensitive person, and for anyone who starts the corporate journey, sometimes it takes time for you to adjust to the culture of the place, and I think it was the sensitivity that let the other person say, I think you're more suitable for that setup.
Okay.
And
so were they trying to imply कि sensitivity नहीं चाहिए यहाँ पे corporates में?
I would say yes, a portion of that was going in that direction. Also, the second part being I took it to my heart for some time. ये क्यों ऐसा क्यों बोला? मतलब why can't I be sensitive and working here? Like, do I have to be ruthless to work in corporates? But because I was very passionate to work in organizations. I'm like, okay, good, thank you so much. I'm going to move forward. And I had my whole really good, challenging, yes, a lot of struggles, I won't take that, but I did take my journey entirely in corporate because I wanted to. But through psychology, that was my zid. कि मुझे MBA, nothing against MBA, but I was like, मुझे psychology पढ़ के corporate में जाना है, बात खत्म. चाहे I didn't have a long whole planning, and I always say whenever I do sessions and people ask planning, नहीं कुछ planning. I just knew basic क्या करना है, foundation क्या है, and उसके बाद देखेंगे आगे रास्ते में figure out.
तो ऐसा क्या contribute किया psychology ने organization में? You were very sure कि you go with psychology. तो क्या contribute किया?
A human factor which I'm very proud. That's the reason that I wanted to take psychology. I wanted to carry that human element, which I think now when I'm speaking, I'm remembering a lot of people say, and they had been saying somewhere, I think just secondary data अपने mind का याद आ रहा है, where people used to say corporates बहुत competitive है, sensitive नहीं है. I think maybe I had picked it up somewhere, कि अगर मुझे वहाँ जाना है, I know I might have to be prepared a little bit more, and maybe that's where कि मुझे psychology समझनी है कि क्यों इतना tough है, like क्यों आप ऐसा बोल रहे हो? Because I'm looking back at that girl who's very naive and trying to understand कि मुझे तो corporate में काम करना है, but आप इतना tough मत बताओ मेरे लिए कि मैं जाना ही ना चाहूँ. So I think somehow it's coming from my curiosity of understanding things.
And also making them easier maybe.
उस टाइम पे नहीं सोचा होगा, उस टाइम पे सिर्फ क्यूरियोसिटी होगी. आज obviously having worked, having the experience, उसलिए तब आ गया. But तब I think it was more about I want to know कैसे function हो रहा है, I want to know चीजें होती कैसे हैं, I want to know लोग इतना क्रिप क्रैक क्यों कर रहे होते हैं. So obviously you learn on the way of complexity of that setting. But as far as I remember, it was the curiosity that I had.
So कोई theory model था जो हमें सिखाया था which you were able to apply in the corporate setup? Any theory that you learned कि कहीं पे ऐसा लगा कि theory was indeed helpful in getting there, understanding people?
Absolutely, yeah. I might not just be able to pinpoint and remember the name, right. But of course, I mean, the more you learn about motivation, the more you learn about mind, human behavior, आपकी interactions different होते हैं, listening different हो रही है, which we all know how important is listening. So that perspective, then if you actually know mind and how it functions, you can do a lot of things with depth, I would say. So definitely, I mean, help हुआ. And I think as a person, I'm very proud of who I am and who I've been. Of course, like anybody else, I've got my own points of areas of improvement. But I'm very grateful to the field where I think I held my own space, and I always saw the setting as it is. Like I'm not trying to, like any organization I've worked with, I've never tried to be like jaldi se theek ho jaye.
Fix करना है मुझे. More of acceptance thing is also there.
And it has to be there. It's like when you are in a relationship, आप पहले acceptance में जाते हो, एकदम से fix करना शुरू नहीं कर देते. तो शायद वो perspective ने मेरी journey बहुत easy कर ली थी. कि आप जाती मत शुरू हो जाओगे corporate में, ये problem है, वो problem है. मुझे पता है एक फैमिली में 4 लोगों में इतनी दिक्कत आ जाती है, तो यहाँ आई एम वर्किंग विद लाइक
entire company, right?
It's a complex setup at the end of the day. So वो perspective, that acceptance, that curiosity, that understanding, and yes, boldness आप धीरे धीरे बनाते हो. Initially नहीं आती है, मुझ में नहीं थी. As a person, I was very different to what I was when I took psychology to today. It's very different. वो personality difference है, but understanding and एक perspective which I've had from the start, I'm very proud and very grateful for having taken psychology as my field.
I like the acceptance wala point, I just like to share something personal. So I might get married soon, fine. So at my home also there is this fun thing that people often say कि Kirti will go and adjust anywhere and वो लोगों को change कर देगी. And she's in the field of psychology, इसको तो दिक्कत ही नहीं आएगी. She'll just want, and I'm like, no, we don't just change people, we also accept them. I think my journey will become easier because I will be accepting them more, rather than just modifying and changing them. So I think this is something that people don't know much about the field. They feel कि हम बस बदल देते हैं लोगों को, कुछ changes कर देते हैं. But I think acceptance wise भी, empathy wise भी, there is this thing that
it's a very impactful statement that you've made, especially जब हम marriage के front पे, it's a lot about changing somebody else. So thank you for making that statement, because acceptance is a huge part of any setting, any relationship.
Right.
So I'm glad that you said that.
Since again it's been years of experience you hold, what were some things that were challenges back then, and what are some new challenges that you see in the field today, especially in the corporate setup, workplace की mental health की बात करें, employees wellness की बात करें, what do you think has changed, or are they still the same, and कुछ progress हुआ है नहीं हुआ? What do you have to say?
Challenges, I think बहुत सारे same भी हैं. पहले बस I think a lot of people didn't have the courage to call them out. Today we have the courage to call them out. Whether it's about online offline working जो again pandemic के बाद start हुआ, whether it's about working hours, whether it's about team कैसे function कर रही है, leader की qualities क्या है, I think challenges, a lot of challenges are same, but the way we look at them अब वो भी change हो रहा है. जैसे pandemic के बाद में especially पहले आप normally office जा रहे हो रोज, किसी ने knock नहीं किया कि क्यों हम रोज office जा रहे हैं, क्यों जाना है. कई बार
important है नहीं है
2 घंटे से mind पे क्या impact हो रहा है, body पे क्या हो रहा है, किसी ने question नहीं किया. हाँ, कुछ रोल्स बहुत लकी होते थे जिनको वर्क फ्रॉम होम स्पेशली लाइक आईटी सेक्टर है, उसमें भी स्पेसिफिक रोल्स है जिनको वो मिल जाता था. बट अब द होल फील्ड इज लाइक शेकन अप कि ओह ये तो मैंने सोचा ही नहीं था, या शायद हो सकता है कुछ ने सोचा बट शायद वो बोल्डनेस उस टाइम बोलने के लिए इंप्लीमेंट नहीं हुआ, कंपनीज ने सीरियसली नहीं लिया बिकॉज उन्हें लगा ठीक है अभी तो चल रहा है ना काम. बट एक वो वेकअप कॉल आता है. तो आई थिंक चेंजेस आए हैं, बहुत चीजें चेंज हो गई हैं. ऑल्सो मेंटल हेल्थ, ऐसा नहीं है पहले मेंटल हेल्थ इश्यूज नहीं थे, बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग थे, बस डिस्कशंस नहीं थी,
उनकी अवेयरनेस
कम थी और आई थिंक बोल्डनेस भी कम थी.
राइट.
आई एम वेरी ग्रेटफुल फॉर द जेनजीज बिकॉज जितना वो चैलेंज कर रहे हैं उतना ही ओल्ड नैरेटिव चेंज हो रहा है. बिकॉज पहले आई थिंक एंड आई टेक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी द लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स वेयर I think we as professionals could have been bolder and we could have said things like I remember, but I think वो काफी जगह हमसे miss out हुआ है. Like I sometimes it's a very personal reflection point for me to say that, but मुझे अभी भी याद है. I can give example of how in my old organizations कोई meditation को नहीं समझता था. मुझे अभी भी याद है मैं पूरी organization में एक होती थी where I used to be like इस रूम में 15 मिनट की मेडिटेशन होगी, जिसको भी आना है वो आ जाओ. एंड इवन इफ देयर वर 2-3 पीपल आउट ऑफ दैट इनिशिएटिव आई यूज्ड टू कीप कंटिन्यूइंग दैट बिकॉज़ आई केप्ट गोइंग बिकॉज़ आई वाज लाइक मुझे पता है अभी समझाने में भी टाइम लगेगा. लाइक आई सेड एक्सेप्टेंस बट डू योर पार्ट धीरे धीरे. तो कहीं ना कहीं शायद वो बोल्डनेस, वो एक एंड दैट करेज दैट आल्सो हैज कम आउट बिकॉज़ मेनी पीपल हैव स्टार्टेड स्पीकिंग. So, एक बोल रहा होगा ना, अभी आपको थोड़ा
मेजॉरिटी बोलती है तो ऑटोमेटिकली उस बात में
आवाज थोड़ी तेज हो जाती है. देन आपको लगता है हाँ अब मैं अपनी आवाज ऐड कर सकता हूँ या ऐड कर सकता हूँ. तो आई गेस हाँ, बट चेंजेस तो बहुत सारे फील्ड में आए हैं. और आई थिंक वन ऑफ द मेजर दैट आई कैन थिंक ऑफ एट दिस मोमेंट इज डिमांड फॉर ऑथेंटिसिटी. मैक्सिमम टाइम काम पे जाता है, होम इश्यूज चल रहे होते हैं, आप कई बार वहां नहीं बोलते, बहुत चीजें खराब चल रही हैं, आप वहां कुछ नहीं कर सकते, आप काम पे आते हो, पूरा दिन काम पे होते हो. इफ यू फील unheard, unseen at both places and you spend 40 years like that, कौन बात कर रहा है कि वो ह्यूमन एग्जिस्टेंस जागा नहीं. आई गेस अब वो कॉन्वर्सेशंस की काम एक पार्ट है, उसके जो अराउंड एक ह्यूमन घूम रहा है उसका क्या हो रहा है एग्जैक्टली. So deeper questions, I think, is the main change that has come thanks to the shaking up of pandemic. That is right. Yeah.
This reminds me of a conversation I had around work-life balance. So we were talking about that term, and we came to this conclusion. We were just discussing ideas, and it's not exactly work-life balance. It should be life-life balance. You know, so it shouldn't be कि एक work अलग part है, life अलग part है, दोनों को balance करो. It should be you have a life जिसमें work is a part of it, and how well you are able to balance that along with other things is what you have to keep in mind.
Absolutely. Sort of, as much as I hate to say 9 to 5, a full-time corporate worker, I'm just using that term for easy reference. उनके लिए it's so difficult to see themselves beyond that identity. एंड वही अगर आप 9 to 5 बोल रहे हो तो जो 5 to 9 और जो पूरा दिन हो रहा है उसमें क्या हो रहा है वो क्वेश्चंस पहले कोई पूछता ही नहीं था बिकॉज हम बहुत सर्वाइवल मोड में भी चल रहे थे कि बस काम है, साइकिल चल रही है, चला लो. दैट्स व्हाई आई सेड थैंक्स टू जेन ज़ी बिकॉज दे आर आल्सो वेकिंग अप पीपल कि आप क्या कर रहे हो.
देयर इज एन एलिमेंट ऑफ सेल्फ केयर, ब्रेक्स कुछ होता है, पर्सनल लाइफ कुछ होती है,
एंड दे आर आल्सो चैलेंजिंग systems and things जो हम लोग and I include myself into it जो हम बहुत used to हो गए थे. आपको एक टाइम के बाद कोई खराब चीज भी नॉर्मल लगने शुरू हो जाती है. So I know many of older generation is taking that time to understand कि because we happen to say हाँ but हमने तो कर लिया ना, हाँ but that was not right. If we said yes to the wrong things, वो हमारा self reflection point है. Not that they're asking for a lot. So and plus work life balance, I think I know बहुत subjective है, but also there is one generation older one that has accepted कि work life balance हो ही नहीं सकता. So मुझे हमेशा लगता है, especially thanks to the field of coaching, it just makes you question your own things कि आप पुरानी memory से चल रहे हो या अब आप vision से चलना चाहते हो. अब हो गया ना वो part, वो तो हमने इतने साल निकाल दिए, सब हो गया. But अब just think about what these guys are saying and reflect कि हम just सिर्फ अपनी पुरानी memories के साथ बैठ के अपनी ego identity पे fix रहना चाहते हैं, या what they're saying is actually making sense. And just because we have lost so much in that time, अब हम उसी को सही प्रूफ करते रहे या सही के साथ में आगे चलते हैं. तो I think
also this sahi keeps changing.
It will change with time, but
and becoming okay with that is also equally important.
Absolutely. And also like you said, एक self care, एक pause. I mean, why did we not think कि full day working में आपको half an hour की nap बहुत necessary है? You're a freaking human being. How can you work the entire day? लंच ब्रेक भी आप भाग के ले रहे हो, आप खाना ठीक से नहीं खा रहे, तो मतलब आपकी गाड़ी भागनी चाहिए without you. And who's responsible to teach you? I'm saying teach you. Just because we're adults, ऐसा नहीं है कि हमें systems की help नहीं चाहिए, हमें बिल्कुल चाहिए. तो एक वो narrative जो carry हो रहा था, अब वो question में आ रहा है. तो I think वो जो एक और change है, एक बहुत बड़ा reflection point है, वो बहुत चीजों को shake up कर रहा है. And it's getting into question कि चलता ही आ रहा है ना. That's gone. Pandemic has shown us, given us a good time to rethink about everything. And I know it's going to take time. Again, coming back to the first point of acceptance, it's a huge complex system. It's going to take time.
इसको भी accept करने में it will take time.
Because it's easy to call out organizations from outside and say कि आप कुछ कर नहीं रहे हो. But I always say, why don't you come inside? Like let's say you come inside and sit in companies like Tata, आप चलाओ. With all the noise that's coming from outside, आप कंपनी चलाओ, प्रॉफिट क्रिएट करो, लोगों को खुश रखो, वेलबींग देखो, टीम इफेक्टिवनेस देखो, लीडर्स को ट्रेन करो, बोर्ड मेंबर्स को खुश रखो. So patience and resilience चाहिए होगी, चाहे आप कहीं पे भी हो, but organizations में और because it is a complex.
You also somewhere mentioned about coaching in between. Shed some light into what exactly this coaching is, how it is different from जो हम टिपिकल HR सुनते हैं या ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल साइकोलॉजी सुनते हैं, इन सब चीजों से डिफरेंट कैसे हैं, हाउ डू दे कंट्रीब्यूट टू कंपनीज?
So there are two parts to what you said. One I heard like coaching क्या है, different कैसे है with other things that you call HR, and contribute कैसे करते हैं. That means you're asking about coaches.
Yes, how are coaches contributing? Yes.
Okay. So let's start with coaching first. Coaching in the most simplest way, मेरे हिसाब से so there are two ways to look at it. Coaching one is your conversational style. I look at coaching as a conversational style, जिसमें आप एक ऐसे listener हो who is actually listening to the other person, clarifying, and obviously if I see that in a coaching relationship, then my objective is that I help you to move forward in whatever way you want. As simple as that. But मेरे लिए वो एक बहुत solid conversational skill भी है. क्योंकि coaching का बहुत important part is I'm going to listen to you. I will make sure that I understand you the way that you're trying to tell me. And also in that and through that I will help you navigate through your own thoughts.
Probably through the right questions.
Yes. A huge part of that is and as like easy as it sounds to people, no, I'm not saying it's difficult. Rather, actually, it's easy if you're in the flow. Like we're in the flow right now. We're not thinking too much, right? If you're genuinely listening to me, I'm genuinely listening to you. It's just a very natural thing to know where should I go next. Where do I see like a little bit of dicey confusion, and then I'll just pick up those pieces easily. So coaching, very basic level पे आपको help करता है कि आप जहाँ पे भी जाना चाहते हो, मैं एज अ कोच आई विल हेल्प यू टू मूव फॉरवर्ड इन दैट डायरेक्शन, ऑल्सो कीपिंग अ चेक कि आप जेन्युइनली वहाँ जाना भी चाहते हो या नहीं।
ओके, सो पीपल डोंट हैव क्लैरिटी बहुत बार बिल्कुल वो कहाँ जाना चाहते हैं, सो यू आल्सो हेल्प विद दैट क्लैरिटी।
एब्सोल्युटली, क्योंकि आप कई बार आ रहे हो एंड यू आर लाइक अंडर सोशल प्रेशर, फैमिली प्रेशर, बट आप अंदर से कुछ और करना चाहते हो। अब आपको पता है कि अगर मैं फैमिली के उस पर गया या गई तो कर तो मैं लूंगा, बट इंटरनली मुझे पता है वो फ्रस्ट्रेशन कितनी आएगी। बट अगर मैं दूसरे रास्ते में जाता हूँ, अब पेन तो दोनों साइड पे है, तो आपको वहाँ सपोर्ट की बहुत जरूरत होती है। बट सबको लगता है हमें ये जर्नी अकेले ही निकालनी है। कोचेस आपको वहाँ हेल्प करते हैं क्योंकि रास्ता तो मुश्किल है। जस्ट एक्सेप्ट दैट देयर आर पीपल जेन्युइनली working in the field, helping you to supporting you to basically navigate through obstacles that will come on the way.
So I know the answer to this question as a psychologist, but I will still ask you, does Sakshi know it all? Like how do you help people? How do you know the answer कि उनके लिए right है नहीं है, या how will they get through a problem?
I don't know. I don't need to know. That's and
the
trust
beauty
me,
of it.
it's the beauty, and also as a human, I'll share a very honest thing. You want to solve challenges for your clients. Sometimes it comes like ऐसे क्यों नहीं कर लेते हो आप? But ये आपका coach का अपना personal healing work है, अपना work है to understand it's their journey. There's a lot of times
You're not imposing your values onto them.
You can't.
You can't.
Because it's their world, and trust me, this is one of the reasons why people don't want to take coaching. Because coaching makes you think. Thinking से आप अपने decisions लोगे, decision लेना बहुत difficult है.
You're taking the autonomy, हाँ आप अपने ऊपर responsibility
बहुत लोगों को
ले रहे
freedom चाहिए, लेकिन उनको चाहिए नहीं.
हो.
ऐसा लगता है कि चाहिए, but जब मिल जाती है तो उसमें decisions लो. Decision लोगे तो गलत होंगे.
Answerable हो गया, accountable हो गया.
अपने लिए accountable हो, गलती होगी, mistake होगी. फिर कौन है? फिर किसके ऊपर ब्लेम करेंगे? इसीलिए तुम सजेशन मांग लेते हो, उसमें कहते हैं यार उसकी बात सुनिए, नेक्स्ट टाइम अपने
हाँ, we have somebody to blame to कि हाँ.
And trust me, these are very subtle processes that happen, and I might be redundant in my thinking or approach at this point, but a lot of Asian kids or Asian people, they take time to get into coaching because ये बहुत accountability मांग रहा होता है. That's why a lot of my clients initially कई बार हो जाते हैं, कुछ specific type of clients होते हैं जो बोल देते हैं आप बता दो ना क्या करना है. And I can understand. I know a little bit of nudging here and there is required. You can't completely just let go of the process as well, but you got to see कि वो 2-3% से ऊपर ना जाए. But it's likely challenging for them to get to the process कि ओ सोचना भी मुझे ही है. Like somebody I remember initially in my career, तो मैं सोचने के पैसे दे रहा हूँ.
हाँ. Something नहीं हो रही है और काम मुझे ही करना है. Solution मुझे ही ढूंढना है.
So it's I think I say that go into coaching if you really genuinely want to become confident, because वो confidence गलती करके failure देकर learn करके compassion लाके अपने आप आ जाएगा. Because then you'll know कि इतना बुरा भी नहीं है, इतना बुरा भी नहीं है mistake करना.
So in this process, I'm just probably getting it. You help them become okay कि failure आएगा, गलतियाँ होंगी. Is that making them okay what you do?
Giving them the space to feel is yes, one of the things. क्योंकि failure से, and actually I'm opening up the next Monday thought that's going to come tomorrow. Failure से नहीं डरते. Failure के साथ में जो feeling आते है उससे डर लगता है. Failure क्या है? अपने आप में failure एक term है. Failure के through आपको words, images, thoughts, inner critic, जो उसके around 5-6 चीजें आ जाती है ना जो बहुत solid है, उससे डर है. Failure से तो कोई डर ही नहीं. फेल हो जाएंगे तो क्या होगा? उसमें थॉट्स एंड फीलिंग्स का रोल है. अगर आप उसको प्ले अराउंड करना सीख सकते हो तो आप रिस्क लेना सीख जाओगे, और वहां उस स्पेस को होल्ड करना, क्लाइंट को फील द फीलिंग्स सिखाना, क्योंकि फीलिंग्स तो आएंगी, कितनी बारी भाग लोगे. आज नहीं फील करोगे, कभी और करोगे
तो वही राइट.
आप वर्किंग प्रोफेशनल्स, आप बहुत रिस्क टेकिंग लोगे. कोई प्रमोशन ले रहा है बट डर लग रहा है प्रमोशन लूंगा तो बहुत काम आ जाएगा. बहुत काम आ जाऊंगा के साथ में फीलिंग्स और थॉट्स आएंगी जो काफी बारी अपनी भी नहीं होंगी. सोशल मीडिया पे कहीं पड़ी हुई थॉट्स होंगी. तो वो बहुत निटी ग्रिटी है जो आपको सेटिंग में एक स्पेस होता है जहाँ पे आप एक्सप्लोर कर सकते हो. And then you learn to, I think the biggest portion I feel when you work with any sort of professional, be it therapist, counselor, coach, you learn to be with yourself. और ये बहुत खतरनाक काम है, बहुत easy लगता है बोलने में. To sit with yourself when everything is going right is still it's difficult for a lot of people. Then also you need friends to celebrate with. But अगर कुछ खराब गया, things go south, then तो और
and when you have taken that decision, like how you teach them,
that's why we need other people to decide on our behalf, because कुछ भी इधर-उधर हुआ अपने ऊपर लेना बहुत भारी है. And I know we missed the point of role of coaches in organizations. So there are a lot of niche में भी बोल सकते हैं हम coaches को कि अगर आप let's say अब तो gig market बहुत gig economy काफी pick up कर रही है कि अगर आपको public speaking सिखानी है, public speaking coach हो गया. I know coaching थोड़ा different space से आ रही है, but उसमें जा सकते हो. But अगर आप performance coaches देखो, then your work is to work again. Work का basic higher level same है. इंडिविजुअल आपके साथ काम करेगा, इंडिविजुअल को अपनी डिफिकल्टीज है, एंड योर वर्क इज टू हेल्प देम क्लियरली अंडरस्टैंड द चैलेंजेस, ऑब्स्टेकल्स, आउटकम्स एंड हेल्प देम नेविगेट थ्रू इट. अब वो
prepare for whatever they can and acceptance of all those that they can't.
बहुत बड़ा पार्ट, बिकॉज लॉट ऑफ पीपल आर फ्रस्ट्रेटेड कि हम ये नहीं चेंज कर सकते. And actually, one of my major work to do is to bring them back into the circle. You must have read what you can control, what you can't control. It is the fact. आप एक country में हो, आप कितनी चीजों के बारे में complain.
Can you explain control versus not in control for our viewers in this?
So, okay, theoretically, I won't remember
not
who gave that circle. So that circle looks like a bigger circle and then a circle inside that says what you can control, and the outer circle is what you can't control. So let's say, if I talk in terms of an organization, आप अपने लीडर को कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकते, आप पॉलिसीज को कंट्रोल, आप इनपुट दे सकते हो, वो कंट्रोल है. आप अपनी टीम के परसेप्शन को कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकते, आप अपना परसेप्शन कंट्रोल कर सकते हो. सो लॉट ऑफ फैक्टर्स दैट यू कांट कंट्रोल, एंड देन देयर आर लॉट ऑफ फैक्टर्स दैट यू कैन कंट्रोल. बट आपका फ्रस्ट्रेशन will always be focusing
can't control because there's uncertainty, there's lack of control again that is there.
Exactly. And surprisingly we love to be in that area of what we can't control. कि हमें बार बार हम वहीं पहुंच जाते हैं कि हम ये नहीं कंट्रोल कर सकते, हम वो नहीं कर सकते. Okay, then my work is okay, fine, ठीक है, ये हो गए 50 पॉइंट that you can't control. Now can we come to 1, 2, and then my thing is to expand the nervous system.
Make the inner circle bigger, basically.
Make the inner circle bigger. कि okay, let's look at that, which is why I say this work is very intentional. वो पहला वाला सर्कल तो ऐसे आ जाएगा. वो इस सर्कल को बढ़ाने के लिए जो वर्क है, that is where your growth is, because now you are expanding and looking at problem है, क्या कर सकते, चाहे वो जितना भी छोटा हो. अब obviously a lot of people take time to also adjust with छोटा steps, right? Because अभी इतनी बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है, पर मेरा स्टेप तो बहुत छोटा है. Can you do anything else? Can expand the way they look at things. So that's where we kind of help.
So what we can control उसमें solution focus approach लो, where you're finding solutions, and what you can't उसको accept करना, letting go, acceptance, forgiveness. I think all of that comes there.
And maximum time, frustration, energy is put into
not in control. Definitely.
Whether you see relationships, whether you see any area of life, to be honest.
Right. In therapy also, I think in my practice, this is exactly what we also work on in therapy.
Absolutely. And as much as I understand, again, being human, it's not like I'm not taking therapy. आता है वो time where you're just not able to let go of things, but यहीं पे you have to understand that if you're not able to do it alone, take help so that you start moving forward. Because this circle is very dangerous space to be in. Because once you start and it becomes your habit, then every area of life आप देखोगे, all you're focusing is what I can't control. And then anxiety issues, long-term mental health challenges, body challenges, relationship challenges. I think it's a loop.
All of this has been so thought-provoking. If I could just summarize, you helped us understand कि एक control, circle in control, not in control होता है, आप acceptance and letting go सिखाते हो client को. Obviously solution ढूंढो. If I were your client, okay, and you were just to help me accept something which I'm finding difficult to accept, how would you do that?
most of the work would be just holding space for your own thoughts and feelings. क्लाइंट को ऑलरेडी पता है वो क्या चेंज कर सकता है और क्या नहीं. ट्रस्ट मी, वो क्योंकि काफी बार इतनी फ्रस्ट्रेशन के बाद आ रहे होते हैं ट्राइंग टू चेंज सिचुएशंस एंड अदर पीपल. इट्स एक्सेप्टेंस इज अ लॉट अबाउट सिटिंग विद योर इमोशंस आई फील. एंड क्योंकि काफी बार आप वो अकेले नहीं कर पाते, तो वो स्पेस आई थिंक इज वेयर माय वर्क कम्स. सो आई माइट जस्ट लीव देम विद ओके लेट्स से कोई भी सिचुएशन है एंड आई माइट जस्ट लीव लाइक अ लाइन, नॉट इवन अ क्वेश्चन. And I'll just leave the space. I think was silence, sitting with the emotions, that does more work than me speaking or asking any other question. And also, yes, sometimes if I feel that's the right thing to do, I would pick up the body language and I would just kind of ask them what's going on inside, what's coming up. So question wala part, but I try to give them more space for their own thoughts, to learn to sit with their feelings. Wahan pe I feel that's the major work that I do. Rather than,
is it accompanied with validation somewhere, that you also validate them that right now you're not feeling good about it, anxious feel kar rahe ho ya helpless feel kar rahe ho, that is okay. So does that also accompany validation ya fir client apne pace pe hai?
nahi, definitely validation आता है at some places where I feel the need of saying through words that it's fine, it's kind of it's okay. Also I've learned to also psychoeducate clients now, because जब एक client raw आता है, हर एक client को psychology नहीं पता है, ना उनको mind पता है, physiology, feelings, emotions. Behavior. So I've also learned there are places where you will also have to educate them about mind-body system as well. And that's where now that's how I function with clients. I also keep my places where I tell them how mind and body functions, and how okay is it for an emotion to come up, and then basically let's say a chota sa 90-second rule, it will come up, stories banegi taki it supports them in their reflection as well. क्यों ना ये ना लगे मैं कुछ अजीब तो नहीं किया, आता ही जाता है. ह्यूमन एक्सपीरियंसेस को समझना, एक्सेप्ट करना, एंड स्पेशली इन द केस ऑफ एक्सेप्टेंस, बिकॉज इट्स अ वेरी सिंपल वर्ड, इट्स अ लॉट ऑफ वर्क.
आई आल्सो फील एक्सेप्टेंस इसलिए नहीं है क्योंकि मुझे सिखाया गया है. So me feeling angry right now in front of you would be unacceptable. This is what I've been taught. But if somebody comes and tells me ki being angry is okay right now, I will probably start accepting it easily. So do you think acceptance का concept हमें कहीं ना कहीं condition भी किया गया है in terms of our values and beliefs?
Contextual है. Like when you were saying कि मैं angry हो गई, one part of me is like anger बिल्कुल acceptable है. मेरा last Monday thought, I don't know if you follow me on YouTube, so last Monday thought was about anger. But also one part of me is also saying कि मुझे नहीं पता वो anger behavior कब और कहाँ show out हुआ है. Example, and I'm just taking corporate as an example because we were discussing that. आप गुस्सा एक मैनेजर, एक लीडर का अपने टीम मेंबर पे गुस्सा होना नॉर्मल है, गुस्सा आना नॉर्मल है. बट अगर आप गुस्से में चिल्ला रहे हो ना, somewhere I know as a human मैंने शाउट कर दिया, ठीक है, इट्स फाइन. मतलब अगर मुझसे पूछोगे इट्स ओके, किसी का मोमेंट था वो निकल गया. बट अगर किसी का वो रिपीटेड पैटर्न है, अगर वो हैबिट है, देन इट्स डिफरेंट. बट इमोशंस का बाहर आना आपको भी बोल नहीं सकते कि अननेचुरल है, बट उनकी फ्रीक्वेंसी, ड्यूरेशन, इंटेंसिटी और प्लेसिंग कहाँ पे कहाँ हो रहा है, किस टाइम आ रहा है, कितना आ रहा है, उस गुस्से में आपने क्या कर दिया. अगर वो वन ऑफ है तो मैं बोल सकती हूँ, बिल्कुल है. बट वो आई नो एट अ हायर लेवल व्हाट यू वर ट्राइंग टू से, तो एक्सेप्टेंस का बहुत बड़ा रोल है. स्पेशली अगर हम खाली इसको इमोशंस के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में देखें, तो वैसे भी एक्सेप्टेंस नहीं है, बिकॉज people who are far away from the field of emotional intelligence, trauma work, feelings, psychology, अगर आप इनसे बहुत दूर हैं, they don't know emotions और feelings में difference क्या है. They don't know कि मैं अच्छा मैं feel भी कर सकती हूँ, मुझे feeling actually करनी है. Do I have to feel my feelings? मुझे तो लगा distract करना है अपने आप को. तो बहुतों के लिए alien concepts है अभी भी. While we are in the field, तो it's very natural.
I think that's where your thing comes in, that you wanted to get into corporates with psychology. This is all that we had learned. Whether books ने सिखाया है, experiences ने
experience, I would say. And I think somewhere, I'm glad you kind of connected it back to the point. I believe, yes, my personal thing has always been about making some place more human while understanding and accepting the complexities, because it will always be there. So I'm glad you brought that point. Kind of, it just makes me go back in time and made me smile.
Nice. Okay. One last question I think would be, whether it's the corporate setup or just any personal individual coming to you, how would you help somebody build confidence? Like, strategies क्या बताओगे अगर कुछ strategies हैं, या will you give them the space, the silence like you were talking about? Would it be some questions? Would it be some techniques? How would you help somebody build confidence?
So let's say if you come to me that I feel like I'm low on confidence, how do I start building up confidence? Now, my first thing would be, again, a very brief answer to that. I will push you through to understand why confidence, what does confidence mean for you? Because ये सबसे बड़ा challenge है that we don't know what that word, that concept actually means for us.
Whatever we are coming for.
Whatever you're coming for actually,
right.
but अभी मैं confidence का context ले रही हूँ. So I'll first help you to think through. आराम से सोचो, कोई जल्दी नहीं है. Because there will be a lot of conflicts अभी आएंगे. मेरा वाला कौन सा है? ये तो स्कूल ने बताया था, कॉलेज ने बताया है, कॉर्पोरेट से सीखा है,
मीडिया ने बताया है,
मीडिया ने बता दिया. मेरा वाला कौन सा है? And trust me, वो प्रोसेस में बहुत बड़ा चेंज भी होगा. कोई one size fit all approach से आज तक I've never seen a client.
Right.
So I'll help you first go through that. Then हम strategies build करेंगे. Let's say if you want to build, अब पहले confidence आपका मान लो आपका meaning आया कि अभी के लिए the confidence for me means speaking in front of people. ठीक है.
Being assertive, putting across my point.
फिर again I'll first clarify the meaning of assertiveness क्योंकि knitting, and that's where I love to make people reflect. Reflection मेरी life का एक बहुत बड़ा part है, and that's why I do a lot of work around that. अपनी definitions, अपने words को clarify करना बहुत important है. So first मैं उसकी clarity build करूँगी. उसके बाद strategies build होंगी. और obviously पहले वो एक outcome visualize करना कि अगर मैं confidently बोल रही हूँ तो मेरा क्या मतलब है. अब उतने में ना जब आप client को setting में डालते हो, छोड़ देते हो, तो वो images construct करना शुरू कर देता है. उसको sounds किसी भी कोई भी sense sound को use करके they'll start explaining कि, and most of the time they don't know what they want, but they know their issues कहाँ से आ रहे हैं. तो वो मेरा
again that lovely thing you said, memory and the vision. I think that is something which is going to stick with me.
Yeah, so a lot of people will come with memories. वो ना यहाँ ऐसा हुआ था, मुझे ना ये नहीं चाहिए. तो आपको क्या चाहिए? और trust me, हमारे brain इतने तरीके से trained है कि हमें vision में बैठना ही नहीं आता. हमें फिर वापस जाना है क्योंकि वो problem used to हो चुकी है. अच्छा ये नहीं चाहिए. And there's a lot of to and fro that happens with the client. So I want they say one client came to me and I'll go because I'm visual. I'll let me go to that client without naming. And they just wanted the confidence to speak in front of their leader. Okay, ठीक है. How does that look like? कौन सी situation थी? कैसा feel हुआ? अब अगर कर लोगे तो कैसा होगा? And a lot of time people take so much of time to sit in that feeling because वो बहुत new है. वो पुरानी feeling तो पता.
Uncomfortable feel होगा, accomplished feel होगा, क्या feel होगा exactly.
And a lot of time पहले discomfort ही होगा कि क्यों ही करना है ना, मुझे वो पुरानी वाली ठीक है. उसी frustration में बैठ जाते हैं.
वो comfort zone बन गया है.
वो frustration भी comfort zone में ही convert हो जाता है time. So then you think कि okay, ठीक है, and there's a lot of pain and pleasure that I have to give to the client कि आप सोच लो, आपके पास दोनों ऑप्शन, मैंने आपको पेन भी दिखाया, आपको प्लेजर भी दिखाया, but you have to give a lot of time for the client to stay in that zone. Feelings रील स्क्रॉल कर करके बहुत जल्दी नहीं आती, and this is something very nitty gritty I know, but this is reality. Feeling लोगों को बहुत जल्दी आ नहीं रही है. Problem state की तो पता ही है, but वो vision state से time लेती है. Then give them time. आप होमवर्क देते हो, आप उनको बोलते हो चलो वापस दोनों जोन में जाना है, एंड कोई भी कंपनी विजुअलाइजेशन नहीं सिखा रही है, एक्चुअल रियल स्किल्स जो ब्रेन मांग रहा है वो नहीं सिखा रही, तो उनको वो भी दिक्कत आती है. देन यू हैव टू वर्क थ्रू दैट एज वेल, एंड देन स्ट्रेटजीज बनेंगी. ठीक है, हम इसको ट्राई करते हैं, ये 3 चीजें, एंड उसमें भी बहुत कुछ होगा. बोल दिया मैंने, नहीं कर पाया, अच्छा ये नहीं, पेशेंस नहीं आ रहा, रेजिलियंस नहीं हो रही, पेन के साथ नहीं बैठा जा रहा, गलती हो गई, कुछ गलत बोल दिया, नहीं बोल पाया, फेलियर को फेस करना है, अभी बहुत कुछ प्रोसेस होगा आपका. तो एक कोच आपको उसमें भी हेल्प कर रहा है. बट जितनी क्लैरिटी होगी कि मुझे क्या चाहिए, एंड द मेन वर्क ऑफ कोचेस, वो क्लैरिटी लेके आना कि आपको चाहिए क्या.
क्योंकि वो ही नहीं पता लोगों को,
नहीं पता और नहीं जानना चाहते अब. क्योंकि जानना चाहते, काफी बारी आप चाहते हो सोल्यूशन, लेकिन हम नहीं भी चाहते.
अगेन आप इसी चीज से कंफर्ट जोन आपने से बना लिया, यही फ्रस्ट्रेशन, व्हाटएवर आई एम गोइंग थ्रू राइट
एंड बिकॉज़ आई विल टेक अ लॉट ऑफ वर्क, उसमें नई रियलाइजेशन, नई मिस्टेक्स आएंगी. क्यों करो, पुराने में रह जाते हो, बट एक्सेप्ट नहीं करो कुछ पुराने में रहना.
हां,
सो
फिर ईगो हट होएगा, वो मैं एक्सेप्ट नहीं कर सकता.
वो ईगो आइडेंटिटी रोल, एंड दैट्स आल्सो सम प्लेसेस वेयर आई डू साइको एजुकेट देम कि कुछ पार्ट जहाँ मुझे एसेंशियल लगता है, आउट ऑफ माय एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ कोचिंग ओवर इयर्स, जहाँ I could find out commonalities and where I feel the need, I do that now. So I know lot of places and where I've been also trained from. There's actually zero thing that I have to tell client, but I took the field so that I can have my own way of coaching. So I'm also very this thing about it. Yes, I know our framework, but I also want to explore and see what is working out for clients and what is not working out for clients. Because sometimes some clients don't need too much of handholding, but some clients do need a little extra nudges from your end, and you should know the difference as a coach where to work for.
I think this has been so intellectual, so personal also at a lot of places, you know, with all the experiences you share. I have a fun game for you. I think we can move on to that.
Okay.
So it's called Whack a Problem. Okay. Since you have worked with corporates and you know there are different problems and there are different problems that come up. I have some problems. I will be naming them one after the other. You just have to tell in your style how you think we can whack that problem. Okay? What would your solution be basically to those problems? Fine. Good to start. Okay. There is a employee who is constantly late to work. What do you think we can do? And is that really a problem or not?
Problem, of course, yes. If obviously depends on the culture and the setting. If it's in that setting and it's asking for it, then I would personally go and have an interaction first.
Okay.
What's happening?
Reasons
so for me, first is to listen to that person कि वो क्यों रहा है. Because इससे पहले मैं उसको जंप कर जाऊँ, आप उसको एक्सप्लेन करने का तो पार्ट दो. Because अगर if you're truly listening and you genuinely want a solution without insulting, वो conversation solve कर ली. So I don't think I'll have to
again listening वाला thing that you mentioned also.
Because lot of time हम agitation नीचे दिखाने, तुम बड़े हो गए तुम्हें समझ नहीं है इतनी की करना है. सबको सब कुछ समझ है, but we still need.
There is a reason why they're still doing. हाँ, exactly.
कोई confusion हो सकती है, कुछ भी हो सकता है.
ठीक है. If the women at workplace are feeling overlooked. Overlooked. I think अगर organization inclusivity से चल रही है, and I'm not saying perfectly चल रही है, but एक inclusivity word है, एक element है,
then I'm sure they will be doing things to do that. But I think I will educate people on that, and probably I'll have more conversations around women and inclusivity.
Okay. And why that is important, how that can help.
And because उसके अंदर I know बहुत सारे questions आएंगे कि why women, why not us. Again, I'll be very strategic in taking different things under inclusivity, and one of them would be women as a factor.
I think that's also my next question. If there's age discrimination, so probably the older employees or the older population feels does not know much about the digital advancements, and at the same time a young employee is feeling discriminated कि उसको seriously नहीं ले रहा है कोई, you know, because the person is young. What would you do in that situation?
और मैं कौन हूँ actually?
Organization, psychologist, coach, anything you want. You just have to whack the problem. So.
If I am, let's say, okay, whoever I am, and I'm given this problem, I would smartly have some open conversations around it. Like maybe internally तो वापस से वो I know inclusivity, leaders को inclusive training देना, वो एक perspective, एक part तो जरूर होगा कि leaders में क्या वो inclusive thinking है, क्या उसको पता भी है कि ये issue exist कर रहा है. So एक वो perspective होगा and I think actually no, I'll stick with that. I'll do more of leadership inclusivity because अगर वो थोड़ी ठीक जा रही होगी, I believe मैं again perfectly solve करने के लिए बहुत सारे factors हैं, but अभी के लिए I think leaders को वो perspective
one of the first strategy would be this.
I think वो हाँ मैं leaders से start करना चाहूँगी.
ठीक है. What about unequal pay? And again, should pay be decided on the basis of gender?
वो तो आंसर ही नो है.
नहीं मतलब क्राइटेरिया क्या होना चाहिए पे डिसाइड करने का?
आपका रोल है, रोल की वैल्यू है, रोल का कंट्रीब्यूशन है. Does not matter who is serving that role.
Irrespective of the gender.
Absolutely. वो तो फिर आपके पर्सनल बायसेस आ गए, कंडीशनिंग आ गई, वो तो वापस से फिर पीछे जा रहे हैं. आगे नहीं, वो हम मेमोरी जा रहे हैं, विजन पे नहीं जा रहे हैं. तो I believe market medians are also helpful. You have an idea. बाकी of course there are bolder organizations who are like, I don't care what's paying. I feel मेरी कंपनी कैपेसिटी, करंट सिचुएशन ये सब देख के I feel like we are marking this capacity and I can move that as जैसे startups है. They pay very differently to organizations. तो कुछ फाइन लाइन क्राइटेरिया नहीं है. अब ये चीज बहुत ओपन हो चुकी है. आपके लिए एक रेफरेंस पॉइंट मार्केट मीडियन है. आप ये देख लो मार्केट का पे कर रही है, उसके हिसाब से आप प्ले अराउंड कर सकते हो. एंड सेकंड इज देयर आर बोल्डर ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस जो अपने आप गई हैं कि ठीक है मार्केट मीडियन ये है बट हमें लगता है इस रोल की इंपॉर्टेंस है, हम यहाँ पे करें. whoever comes जो भी है. So you can be a bolder one. Again, आप vision से जा सकते हो या memory से जा सकते हो और आप reference.
I think यही हमारा biggest takeaway from today's session. Okay. And what if there is lack of acknowledgement? So workload layoff issue कि अब जितना भी हम काम कर रहे हैं, we're not getting the acknowledgement. So as somebody who's working for the wellness of such employees, what would your input be?
I would personally facilitate session for leaders.
Okay.
Because I'm expecting acknowledgement is like for the team members. अब I know वो leaders भी बोलते हैं हमें उससे acknowledgement भी आ रही है. I know वो cultural element है, but I think I'll take on more like again वो leadership aspect पे I'll focus more.
Just having this conversation with you मुझे realize हो रहा है कि communication is something which is very integral to our approach, and also somewhere leaders पे काम करना when it comes to the corporate sector or just any organization. So leaders do play an important role.
Absolutely, and I will not take away the fact that you bring in your own energy to work. So your leader might be really a great person, but if you come from a point of view that I hate my job,
you're frustrated and
you are frustrated and you're just coming for the sake of it. And I've genuinely worked and consulted, like I've been consultant for organization where we literally sat down like it looks like we're doing everything here, but of course और options choices निकल जाती हैं. But obviously there are many factors that are involved. But I also say it's very important for people to say what kind of consciousness, what kind of energy, what kind of being, who are they being at work, because बहुत सारे factors play कर रहे हैं, and let's not ignore the fact that you also bring
your own vibe, your own energy.
Absolutely, and your point of views and your perception, your attitude, and understand they're adults. बहुत rigidity हमें already चल रही होती है, वो already एक complex environment चल रहा है. उसके अंदर में there's a whole lot of responsibility that's there on the leader. And I'll give you one example which kind of quickly I'll tell you. So this was I think one of my known people, Gen Z, who said, I'm like फिर promotion और कहाँ move promotion का बात करो, तो मुझे नहीं leader बनना भाई. क्यों? सबको खुश रखो, मुझे नहीं करना, मुझे अपने आप को खुश रखना. That also, and then you know like me being me, I'm like okay, so I asked and I just left this space and we both looked at each other. I'm like
लीडर का मतलब अकॉर्डिंग टू यू है सबको खुश रखना.
खुश क्योंकि आप ये एक्सपेक्ट करते हो ना. तो I think it's just important to remember organization is a system and we all are contributing. If nothing else, I think I always say, please take your best to work. Whatever your best looks like each day. Because leader भी एक level तक आपकी help कर सकता है.
And also this best is important both for self and others. You know, आपको खुद शांति मिलेगी अगर आप you're going
It's
with
first
that.
for yourself.
Yes.
Like maybe because I've always been like that nobody has to motivate me to come to work. आप नहीं बताओगे. I'm like always jumping and loving and चलो खुद करते हैं. And I know there's a portion when you need leader. ऐसा नहीं है आपको चाहिए ही नहीं तो फिर leadership होती नहीं.
Right.
I always say बहुत लोग बोलते हैं leader नहीं चाहिए. आपको हम 2 महीने के लिए leader के बिना छोड़ देते हैं. आप अपनी procrastination का level देखो. तो understand human behavior, understand that you are also falling short, and then see there's so much that's going around, and again accept and then find out what's in your control and then give your best.
Such a beautiful blend of psychology, workplace, mental health, everything together, you know. I think with this we come to an end. I'm sure हम बहुत देर और बात कर सकते हैं. There is so much to learn from you, your experiences. But I hope this was an insightful episode for our viewers and listeners also. I personally learned a lot, and I'm glad that a space like this is there, where mental health conversations are taking place more. Workplace से related हमने इतनी बातें करी. So thank you for coming and taking out your time, means a lot to me.
Thank you so much for such an authentic and such a beautiful flow conversation that I literally didn't feel like it just felt like it's so heart to heart conversation. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I hope all of you had a good time listening to us. With this, we come to the end of today's episode. You can definitely put it in the comment section how you felt about the episode and what you're looking forward to in the coming episodes. I will see you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much.